Okay. Good evening, everyone. You will notice that right off the bat that we're starting from a slightly different environment. um, I moved up to a screen porch, which might prove tricky as the summer moves on and get a little warm. But for now, it's a beautiful day here. The only downside, and we'll see how this plays out, but the only other downside is that there is a highway not too far from here, and so occasionally, the Harley chopper gang will go through, or some loud semi truck, or a sport car of some sort. So I'm hoping that won't interfere too much, but we'll have to kind of give it a shot and try it. So anyway, welcome. Tonight's show will feature all Tom T. Hall hits. And I've been listening to these songs for so many decades that it pretty much all my life. It's great to be able to perform these for the first time. Up until a couple of weeks ago, I didn't have any Tom T. Hall songs in my collection, so there's now I have a whole bunch of them. And of course, there'll always be a original song in the middle and a gospel song at the end. So, which tonight we'll feature an up-tempo Tom T. Hall song for our gospel song. So tonight we start with another of Tom's real-life story songs, as well as his biggest hit and signature song, or one of his biggest hits and a signature song. This song is the story of one of Tom's boyhood neighbors he had known when Tom was like 8 or 9 years old. And who was not only Tom's neighbor, but also a guitar player and a singer, and Tom's childhood hero. To stay active in music, this neighbor had moved to Ohio to work in clubs there, and he was doing pretty well, but he got sick and was forced to come home, and then he sadly passed away. What is often misunderstood in this song is that when the neighbor died of an undiagnosed lung disease, likely tuberculosis, he was only about 19 or 20 years old. While most people have thought, certainly I did, have always thought the song was about an older man. So this true life story stayed at number one for 2 weeks for Tom in 1971, and this song is called "The Year That Clayton Delaney Died." I remember the year that Clayton Delaney died. Well, they said for the last 2 weeks that he suffered and cried. Well, it made a big impression on me, although I was a barefoot kid. They said he got religion at the end, and I'm glad that he did. Clayton was the best guitar picker in our town. I thought he was a hero, and I used to follow Clayton around. I often wondered why Clayton, who seemed so good to me, never took his guitar and made it down to Tennessee. Well, Daddy said he drank a lot, but I could never understand. I knew he used to pick up in Ohio with a 5-piece band. And Clayton used to tell me, son, you better put that old guitar away. There ain't no money in it, it'll lead you to an early grave. Well, I guess if I'd admit it, Clayton taught me how to drink booze. And I can see him half stoned and picking out the lovesick blues. When Clayton died, I made him a promise I was gonna carry on somehow. I'd give $100 if he could only see me now. Yeah, I remember the year that Clayton Delaney died. Well, nobody ever knew it, but I went out in the woods and I cried. Well, I know there's a lot of big preachers that know a lot more than I do, but it could be that the good Lord likes a little picking too. Yeah, I remember the year that Clayton Delaney died. All right. Let me check here. Mary Beth, thanks for tuning in. And, and your mom as well. Wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Mary Pat, thanks for joining. All right, so sometimes a songwriter, if you're having a hard time coming up with new material, you can leverage your dreams if your real life experiences aren't working for you at the moment. So this next Tom T. Hall song is just that. The song was a number 11 hit for Tom in 1972, and it's called The Monkey That Became President. Well, I was there on the day the monkey came into this world. His face was round and reddish and his hair was slightly curled. He didn't look too different from the others I had seen. Who'd have thought he was the answer to the nation's dream? At first he didn't seem to be intelligent at all. Each time he'd start to walk about, he'd stumble and he'd fall. My first impression was to be a most mistaken thought. Lord Almighty, what's this little hairy monkey wrought? Because I witnessed his departure from his mother's womb, I felt inclined to check his progress every afternoon. One day the keeper of the zoo called in the live TV. Frankly said, I think you'll be amazed at what you see. Well, the monkey walked and talked and waved his arms about his head, and in the corner was a stack of books that he had read. An educated monkey set the papers across the land, and it was more than weary sociologists could stand. Well, his fame was universal, he was on the Carson Show. People talked about him kindly everywhere he'd go. His insight was amazing, his philosophy was fair. He became a politician, welcome everywhere. Well, his wit was not to be compared with any mind intact. He'd lace a phrase with irony and blend it all with fact. Conservatives applauded and the liberals were entranced. The bigots and the integrationists were in his camp. Well, nobody dared to meet him in an open press debate. He was nominated by the folks from every state. Yes, a monkey was the president, though maybe not the first. There was peace and harmony throughout the universe. Well, the dream I had last night has been related as it came. As for interpretation, well, it's really very plain. Would you rather have a monkey up in Washington, D.C., or have those people making monkeys out of you and me? Okay. Rose, thanks for tuning in. Now, next up, Tom released this next song in 1972. Although it didn't make the charts for him, I'm including it because I had this on a Tom T. Hall Greatest Hits album that I had growing up. And like the message about somehow not getting the things you think you want in life can be a benefit. This is called Pamela Brown. I'm the guy who didn't marry pretty Pamela Brown. Educated, well-intentioned, good girl in our town. I wonder where I'd be today if she had loved me too. Probably be driving kids to school. Then I guess I owe it all to Pamela Brown. All of my good times and all my roaming around. One of these days I might come rambling through your town, and I guess I owe it all to Pamela Brown. I've seen the lights of cities and I've been inside their doors. I've sailed to foreign countries and I've walked upon their shores. I guess the guy she married was the best part of my luck. She dug him 'cause he drove a pickup truck. And I guess I owe it all to Pamela Brown. All of my good times and all my roaming around. One of these days I might come rambling through your town, and I guess I owe it all to Pamela Brown. Well, I don't have to tell you just how beautiful she was. Everything it takes to get a country boy in love. Lord, I hope she's happy 'cause she sure deserves to be, especially for what she did for me. Yes, I guess I owe it all to Pamela Brown. All of my good times and all my roaming around. One of these days I might come rambling through your town, and I guess I owe it all to Pamela Brown. Yes, I guess I owe it all to Pamela Brown. Okay. Just had two deer walk by here. A little distracting. I'll try and stay focused. Tom released this next story song late in 1972. This song became his third #1 hit on the charts. The song is a true account of Tom's experience at the 1972 Democratic National Convention, where he had a conversation with an older janitor at a Miami Beach hotel. The janitor praises his own life by concluding that the only worthwhile things are the three listed in the song's title. Tom wrote the song on his flight back to Nashville the next day, and although he had a pen, he didn't have any paper with him on the plane, so he wrote it on the back of an air sickness bag out of the pocket of the seat in front of him. Anyway, the song is called Old Dogs, Children, and Watermelon Wine. How old you think I am, he said. I said, well, I didn't know. He said, I turned 65 about 11 months ago. I was sitting in Miami, pouring blended whiskey down, when this old gray-black gentleman was cleaning up the lounge. There wasn't anyone around but this old man and me. The guy who ran the bar was watching Ironsides on TV. Uninvited, he sat down and opened up his mind on old dogs and children and watermelon wine. Have you ever had a drink of watermelon wine? He asked. He told me all about it, though I didn't answer back. Ain't but three things in this world that's worth a solitary dime. That's old dogs and children and watermelon wine. He said women think about themselves when their menfolk ain't around, and friends are hard to find when they discover that you're down. He said, I tried it all when I was young and in my natural prime. Now it's old dogs and children and watermelon wine. Well, he said old dogs care about you even when you make mistakes. And God bless little children while they're still too young to hate. As he moved away, I found my pen and copied down that line on old dogs and children and watermelon wine. I had to catch a plane up to Atlanta that next day. As I left for my room, I saw him picking up my change. That night I dreamed in peaceful sleep of shady summer times, of old dogs and children and watermelon wine. Okay, next up, another Tom T. Hall story song, big surprise. And as far as I know, this is the only song in country music about a bar with no customers. Tom recorded this song as a duet with Patti Page, and this song is called Hello, We're Lonely. Hello, We're lonely, there's no one around. We're the only empty barroom in town. I'm that friendly bartender that you always hear about, and you're that waitress that they flirt with when they try to make out. There's no one here to tell their troubles to me. Hello, we're lonely. Well, I wonder where Chuck Taylor is, 'cause he comes here every night. Betty Ann should be here. She and Freddie had a fight. When Billy Joe gets off from work, he'll stop for 203. Hello, we're lonely. Put some money in that jukebox, play some old Hank Williams songs, and you can freshen up your makeup, 'cause they'll come before too long. Without lonely people, I wonder where we'd be. Hello, we're lonely. Well, we might as well close up. Oh, gee, what a day it's been. Betty, mix us up a double, and I'll play that song again. On nights like this, we're in the mood for having 2 or 3. Hello, we're lonely. Hello, we're lonely, there's no one around. We're the only empty barroom in town. Okay, Linda, thanks for tuning in tonight. Okay, next up's a song that was a number 3 hit for Tom in 1973. This song is about a truck stop waitress whose obsession is an absentee father who promised he'd return to her but hasn't. This song is called Ravishing Ruby. And in the background there, that would be a motorcycle. Hopefully the guitar and the singing will drown out that background noise with any luck. Ravishing Ruby, she's been around for a while. Ravishing Ruby, where she was a truck stop child, born in the back of a rig somewhere near L.A. Ravishing Ruby, you poured a lot of hot coffee in your day. Ravishing Ruby, believe anything you say, just like her daddy said. He said he'd be back someday. Well, she was just 14. She grew up wild and free, and all the time she's been waiting on him. She's been waiting on you and me. Ravishing Ruby, she sleeps in a bunk out back. Her days and nights are filled with dreams of a man named Smiling Jack. That was her daddy's name, and that's all she ever knew. Ravishing Ruby ain't got time for guys like me and you. Ravishing Ruby, a beautiful young girl now. Ravishing Ruby, well, she made a solemn vow. She's waiting on Smiling Jack, he'll come a-rolling by. She wants to see him, she wants to touch him, either way, dead or alive. Ravishing Ruby, she sleeps in a bunk out back. Her days and nights are filled with dreams of a man named Smiling Jack. That was her daddy's name, and that's all she ever knew. Ravishing Ruby ain't got time for guys like me and you. No, Ravishing Ruby ain't got time for guys like me and you. Okay. So I mentioned in the background for the Old Dogs and Children and Watermelon Wine song how Tom had been in Miami for the 1972 Democratic Convention. He and several other performers, including George Jones, weren't actually at the convention, but instead they had been hired by the Democratic Party to perform a free concert in the park across the street from where the convention was being held. The Democratic Party apparently had hoped that providing a free concert would distract the inevitable protesters from hijacking their convention, as had happened in the previous convention in Chicago in 1968, which was a bit of a disaster. And it worked. The protesters were much more interested in the music, and the convention was, at least on the outside, relatively calm. So the reviewers of this next song have said that in 3 minutes, Tom sums up the entire 1972 election and the subsequent break-in and wiretapping of the Democratic National Committee that exploded into the political scandal of the century. Tom's song reached number 16 on the charts for him, and it was a concert favorite during this time period. This song is called The Watergate Blues. And it doesn't fit on my screen, so there'll be a moment of pause when I scroll a little bit. So I figured out a way to make that happen. But that just tells you it's kind of a longer story. McGovern said, "Boys, I think I'm gonna run. Got a whole lot of work to be done in Washington." He talked to the poor folks, the blacks and the youth. Humphrey said, "George, I think you're gonna lose." He said, "I want that job myself." Well, there was Kennedy and Wallace and Muskie in mind. McGovern couldn't seem to get his ducks all in a line. Somebody shot Wallace in Jackson, he cried. Muskie might have made it, but he broke down and cried. I tell you, boys, it's a hard life. But down in Miami, McGovern got it all. A strange-looking bunch of folks inside Convention Hall. McGovern said, "I need someone to carry the South." They picked poor Tom Eagleton, but folks found him out. That liberal press, they gotta know it all. Well, McGovern took Shriver and he started to run. Sarge said, "Eunice, let's have a little fun." Well, they ran into trouble almost everywhere they went. There was a big committee to elect the president. I'll tell you now, they were a smooth group. Well, they broke into Watergate and tapped people's phones. The FBI and CIA would not leave folks alone. The people in the White House were bursting with pride. When the votes were all counted, it was a big landslide. The USA bought a new used car. Well, Russia and Vietnam and China were cool. The American press could not find any news. So they dug into Watergate, and the further they went, It seemed as if they might just run into the president. You know it was a big shock. Well, there was Haldeman and Gray and Mitchell and Dean, a whole lot of folks shaking on the White House scene. They patched up the cracks, but the dam broke loose, and Watergate was all you could read in the news. And Dickie said, well, that's news to me. But there's Lincoln and Roosevelt and Truman and Ike, all rolling over in their graves every night. And somehow my mind goes back to Betsy Ross. Nobody knows what this country has lost. I will repeat, it's a hard life. Well, somewhere in this country there's a hard-working man, reading his paper as he tries to understand. Are there no honest people left anymore? One night will he hear a pounding on his door. If it gets that way, Lord help us all. Okay, the song has a bit of an abrupt ending, but that's just the way he wrote it. So we've reached the portion of the show now where I do one of our original songs that my friend Charlie and I wrote together. Charlie the words, me the music. This song is about finding an old love letter, and it's called Haunted by Your Dreams. I found a letter from you I thought I'd thrown away. It brought back thoughts of you I thought were gone to stay. Thoughts of you and me, of our destiny, of the love you threw away. I read your words again, the ones you wrote that day. You said your love was strong, a love that was here to stay. Love for you and me, for what we could be, now that love had come our way. All your hopes and dreams, all your fantasies were right there on the page. A promise from your hand that our love would stand and nothing would ever change. But things change somehow, those words haunt me now, like whispers in the trees, never leaving me, always keeping me haunted by your dreams. You promised that no one could steal your heart away, and you promised someday you'd be back to stay, that it would always be just you and me, and soon we'd be on our way. But you never came back, not once since that day. You left me feeling so lost, feeling so betrayed. When no more you and me, no more destiny, no more words left to say. All your hopes and dreams, all your fantasies were right there on the page. A promise from your hand that our love would stand and nothing would ever change. But things change somehow, those words haunt me now, like whispers in the trees, never leaving me, always keeping me haunted by your dreams. Can I hold you to those words, words from your own pen? Can I hold you to those dreams, and hold you close again. I folded up your words and hid your dreams away, leaving thoughts of you for some other rainy day. Thoughts of you and me, of what used to be when our love was here to stay. And all your hopes and dreams, all your fantasies were right there on the page. A promise from your hand that our love would stand and nothing would ever change. But things changed somehow, those words haunt me now like whispers in the trees, never leaving me, always keeping me haunted by your dreams. Never leaving me, always keeping me haunted by your dreams. All right, now back to Tom T. Hall. Next up, this is a song that Tom wrote while he was stranded in a motel in Spokane, Washington, presumably due to bad weather. The song actually raised some controversy at the time because Spokane was scheduled to host Expo 74 the very next year, and one of the city councilmen denounced the song's Get Me Out of Here theme as a civic insult, and the council was understandably on edge as to how their image would be received by the rest of the world. Hearing about the shock he had caused, Tom sent the council a letter that was read during a May 1973 council meeting, and Tom wrote, quote, "Very few towns inspire me to write anything. Those beautiful mountains and rivers in Spokane started my creative juices flowing, and I had not been in a motel room. And had I not been in a motel room at the time, it would have been a positive song." So the controversy quickly blew over, and the thin-skinned council not only made up with Tom, but proclaimed a Tom T. Hall Day in his honor. This song is called Spokane Motel Blues. And Mary Pat and Craig, thanks for tuning in tonight. All right, Spokane Motel Blues. I don't know what I'm doing here, I could be someplace else, like in Atlanta drinking wine, wine, wine. Well, I don't know what I'm doing here, I should be someplace else, like in Kentucky drinking shine, shine, shine. The dogs are running down in Memphis, and them nags are running in L.A. I'm stuck in Spokane in a motel room, and there ain't no way to get away. Willie Nelson's picking out in Austin, and Waylon's hanging out in Mexico. I'm stuck in Spokane in a motel room, and Chris is making moving picture shows. Well, I don't know what I'm doing here, I could be someplace else, like in Atlanta drinking wine, wine, wine. I don't know what I'm doing here, I should be someplace else, like in Kentucky drinking shine, shine, shine. Well, I know they're dancing in New Orleans, and old Chicago's bright as day. I'm stuck in Spokane in a motel room. Lord, I wish I had a Dolly Parton tape. Well, Hill and Bear and Billy Joe, they're gambling, and old TP's frying crappie all night long. They're down at Tootsie's eating chili, and I'm stuck in Spokane writing songs. Well, I don't know what I'm doing here, I could be someplace else, like in Atlanta drinking wine, wine, wine. I don't know what I'm doing here, I should be someplace else. Like in Kentucky, drinking shine, shine, shine. No, I don't know what I'm doing here, I should be someplace else. Like in Kentucky, drinking clear moonshine. Spokane Motel Blues. Now, next up is Tom's fourth #1 hit and the biggest commercial success in his career. As this song stayed at #1 for 2 weeks. Tom said about this song that, quote, "It's been my biggest money-making song. Little Debbie Cakes bought it for a commercial, Ford Trucks used it for a commercial, and then Coors Beer used it for a theme song for a couple of years. It's been recorded by a lot of orchestras. You hear it on elevators, which is amazing. It's just 3 chords, and it's only 2 minutes long. But for some reason, I walked into a great melody. I got really lucky on that melody, and it's been used for a lot of different things." You can't get much more straightforward than to write a song about all the things you love, and so this song is called I Love. I love little baby ducks, old pickup trucks, slow-moving trains and rain. I love little country streams, sleep without dreams, Sunday school in May and hay. And I love you too. And I love leaves in the wind, pictures of my friends, birds of the world and squirrels. I love coffee in a cup, little fuzzy pups, bourbon in a glass, and grass. And I love you too. I love honest open smiles, kisses from a child, tomatoes on the vine, and onions. I love winners when they cry, losers when they try, music when it's good, and life. And I love you too. That gets a little high for me. Carrie, thanks for tuning in. All right, our next song is Tom's first hit in 1974. This song reached #2 on the charts for him. This is one of those songs that gets kind of stuck in your head, what's referred to as an earworm song. And the lyric is something pretty much everyone can relate to. This song is called "That Song Is Driving Me Crazy." Well, that song is a-driving me crazy, I gotta hear it again. The first time I heard it, I was with some friends. It's a simple little song you can sing along with an old-time melody. So would you play that crazy little song again for me? Well, I love that part about break my heart and baby please come home. And I love that line about hurting my mind and my beer ain't got no foam. Well, that song is a-driving me crazy, I gotta hear it again. The first time I heard it, I was with some friends. It's a simple little song you can sing along with an old-time melody. So would you play that crazy little song again for me? Well, you sing high and I'll sing low and everybody sing along. But everybody quit while I get my kick, sing and bring that boogie home. Well, that song is a-driving me crazy, I gotta hear it again. The first time I heard it, I was with some friends. It's a simple little song you can sing along with an old-time melody. So would you play that crazy little song again for me? Yeah, it's a simple little song you can sing along with an old-time melody. So would you play that crazy little song again for me? Yeah, would you play that crazy little song again for me? How we doing? 46. All right, we're good. Next up, this is Tom's sixth #1 hit song, and although he couldn't really find any, well, I couldn't really find any backstory to the song, I've always kind of envisioned this song as a song from grandparents to grandkids, or maybe aunt or uncle to a niece or nephew. Anyway, this song is called I Care. When the TV won't work and your toys fall apart, and you have a sad feeling deep in your heart, and you want to go out, but it's raining out there, I want you to know I care. I care, I do. There's no one like you. When they take you someplace and you sit in a chair, I want you to know I care. When you tell a big lie and your parents are mean, when being grown up is a faraway dream, when they're filling your teeth and cutting your hair, I want you to know I care. I care, I do. There's no one like you. And I mention your name when I'm saying my prayers. I want you to know I care. When you have a bad cold and you can't go out, and you sit for a week with that thing in your mouth, when you sleep in the dark and there's something out there, I want you to know I care. I care, I do. There's no one like you. And sometimes I act like a grouchy old bear. I want you to know I care. I love you too much. Okay, now, in the summer of 1974, Tom found himself writing songs for children, and the album that resulted was called Songs of Fox Hollow. Fox Hollow was what he's kind of named his house where he lived in Tennessee. but this album sort of became a cult classic. Both the last song and this next song were part of that album, and this next song was the B-side to that last song, I Care. This kind of fun kids song did make the charts, but it only reached as high as 69 on the charts. This song is called Sneaky Snake. Perfect song for a kids album. Well, boys and girls, take warning. If you go near the lake, keep your eyes wide open and look for Sneaky Snake. Now maybe you won't see him, and maybe you won't hear, but he'll sneak up behind you and drink all of your root beer. And then Sneaky Snake goes dancing, wiggling and a hissing. Sneaky Snake goes dancing, a giggling and a kissing. I don't like old Sneaky Snake, he laughs too much, you see. When he goes a-wiggling through the grass, it tickles his underneath. Well, Sneaky Snake drinks root beer, and he just makes me sick. And when he is not dancing, he looks just like a stick. Now he doesn't have any arms or legs, you cannot see his ears. And while we are not looking, he's stealing all of our beer. And then Sneaky Snake goes dancing, wiggling and a hissing. Sneaky Snake goes dancing, a giggling and a kissing. I don't like old Sneaky Snake, he laughs too much, you see. When he goes a-wiggling through the grass, it tickles his underneath. Yeah, when he goes wiggling through the grass, it tickles his underneath. Okay, now Tom released this next song in 1975. It reached number 8 on the charts for him. The song is sort of a metaphor for how life can be like a card game. And this song is called Deal. Well, life is a gamble and the days are just so many decks. Oh, the hours are cards they deal and you play what you get. Oh, you think of the times that you knew you could call, so you're raised. Oh, you think of the times when you got out when you should have stayed. So deal, hey, maybe the next card's an ace. So deal, you ought to go home, but you know that a flush beats a straight. Oh, you can't have a full house, the queen has been dealt to a friend. Oh, the good thing about life is they shuffle and they deal life again. Well, the cards are all stacked when you're hot and the women are too. Oh, it's a hard cut to take when you raise every hand, but you lose. Oh, I'm not complaining, it ain't like the Joker to cry. Oh, it won't do to cheat, 'cause you have to cash in when you die. So deal, hey, maybe the next card's an ace. So deal, You ought to go home, but you know that a flush beats a straight. Oh, you can't have a full house, the queen has been dealt to a friend. Oh, the good thing about life is they shuffle and they deal life again. Yeah, the good thing about life is they shuffle and they deal life again. It didn't quite end perfect, but it's a quick song. All right, our next Tom T. Hall song reached number 4 on the charts for him in early 1975 and was part of that same album that included the previous song, Deal. This song is one of those biographical songs about Tom's own life preferences, in this case for his preferences in drink. Also, during Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis, Michelob Ultra aired a commercial that featured this song and a number of different, I think, sports people singing the lines to it. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is called I Like Beer. In some of my songs I have casually mentioned the fact that I like to drink beer. Well, this little song is more to the point, so roll out the barrel and lend me your ears. I like beer. It makes me a jolly good fellow. I like beer. It helps me unwind, and sometimes it makes me feel mellow. Makes me feel mellow. Whiskey's too rough, champagne costs too much, and vodka puts my mouth in gear. Well, this little refrain should help me explain. As a matter of fact, I like beer. My wife often frowns when we're out on the town and I'm wearing a suit and a tie. She's sipping vermouth and she thinks I'm uncouth when I yell as the waiter goes by. I like beer. It makes me a jolly good fellow. I like beer. It helps me unwind, and sometimes it makes me feel mellow. Makes me feel mellow. Whiskey's too rough, champagne costs too much, and vodka puts my mouth in gear. Well, this little refrain should help me explain. As a matter of fact, I like beer. Well, last night I dreamed that I passed from the scene, and I went to a place so sublime. Well, the water was clear and tasted like beer, that they turned it all into wine. I like beer. It makes me a jolly good fellow. I like beer. Well, it helps me unwind, and sometimes it makes me feel mellow. Makes me feel mellow. Whiskey's too rough, champagne costs too much, and vodka puts my mouth in gear. Well, this little refrain should help me explain. As a matter of fact, I like beer. Yet a little refrain should help me explain. As a matter of fact, I like beer. Okay. One more. This next one is a title track for Tom's 1975 album. The song was his 7th and final number 1 hit. Also, as a side note, this is the only Tom T. Hall song for which the chorus was given in evidence in the U.S. Senate in a U.S. Senate subcommittee by a banking consultant. In the committee, the consultant stated, quote, "We recently did a lot of market research on what bank customers really want from the banks they do business with. We asked them what they really wanted and what do you think is important and what do you really want? And unfortunately, just as we were able to publish our market research, it was preempted by Mr. Tom T. Hall from Nashville, Tennessee, when he said, 'Faster horses, younger women, and older whiskey.'" To which Senator McIntyre replied, "Say that again? Faster horses, younger women, and older whiskey?" And the consultant continued, "And more money." This last number one hit for Tom is called Faster Horses. Well, he was an old-time cowboy, don't you understand? His eyes were sharp as razor blades, his face was leather tan. His toes were pointed inwards from a hanging on a horse. He was an old philosopher, of course. Well, he was so thin I swear you could have used him for a whip. He had to drink a beer to keep his britches on his hips. I knew I had to ask him about the mysteries of life. He spit between his boots and he replied, "Son, it's faster horses, younger women, and older whiskey, and more money." Well, he smiled and all his teeth were covered with tobacco stains. He said it don't do men no good to pray for peace and rain. Peace and rain is just a way to say prosperity, and buffalo chips is all it means to me. Well, I told him I was a poet and I was looking for the truth. I do not care for horses, whiskey, women, or other loot. I said I was a writer, my soul was all on fire. He looked at me and said, "You are a liar. Son, it's faster horses, younger women, older whiskey, more money." Well, I was disillusioned, if I say the least. I grabbed him by the collar and I jerked him to his feet. Well, there was something cold and shiny laying by my head, so I started to believe the things he said. Now my poet days are over and I'm back to being me, as I enjoy the peace and comfort of reality. If my boy ever asks me what it is that I have learned, I think that I will readily return. Son, it's faster horses, younger women, older whiskey, and more money. It's faster horses, younger women, older whiskey, and more money. Son, it's faster horses, younger women, older whiskey, and more money. Okay, now we will go to our, oh gosh, there's only one more in this set, and then we're going to do one more, and then we'll do the gospel. This one's a shorter song. All right, this one. Before Tom really got started in country music, he was actually a big bluegrass fan, and he played in a bluegrass band for a while. So for our last Tom T. Hall song tonight, we'll cover a song that was a number 9 hit for him in 1976. This is the only Tom T. Hall song in my collection that Tom didn't write, which you can sort of tell because it's not really a story song. The song was written back in 1968 by an Englishman named Tony Hazard, and this song is called Fox on the Run. She walks through the corn leading down to the river. Her hair shone like gold in the hot morning sun. She took all the love that this poor boy could give her and left me to die like a fox on the run. like a fox on the run. Now everybody knows the reason for my fall. This woman tempted me down in Paradise Hall. That woman tempted me, then she took me for a ride. But like a weary fox, boys, I need a place to hide. She walks through the corn leading down to the river. Her hair shone like gold in the hot morning sun. She took all the love that this poor boy could give her and left me to die like a fox on the run. Like a fox on the run. We'll drink a glass of wine, boys, to fortify our souls. We'll talk about the world and the friends we used to know. I see a string of girls who have put me on the floor. The game is nearly over and the hounds are at the door. She walks through the corn leading down to the river. Her hair shone like gold in the hot morning sun. She took all the love that this poor boy could give her and left me to die like a fox on the run. Like a fox on the run. Okay, now we'll go into our gospel song for tonight. I think I said the last song was the last Tom T. Hall song, but actually our gospel song is also a Tom T. Hall song. Tom said the inspiration for this song was inspired by a favorite expression of his mother's, which was, quote, "Me and Jesus will work it out." After listening to a preacher on the radio one day while traveling around Georgia, Tom wrote the song, setting forth his view of life, organized religion, and a more personal idea of faith. The song is called Me and Jesus. Well, me and Jesus got our own thing going. Me and Jesus got it all worked out. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. And we don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. Well, I knew a man who once was a sinner. I know a man who once was a drunk. And I know a man who once was a loser. But he went out one day and made an altar out of a stump. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. Me and Jesus got it all worked out. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. And we don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. Well, Jesus brought me through all of my troubles. Jesus brought me through all of my trials. Jesus brought me through all of my heartaches. And I know that Jesus ain't gonna forsake me now. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. Me and Jesus got it all worked out. Me and Jesus got our own thing going. And we don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. Now we can't afford any fancy preaching. No, we can't afford any fancy church. No, we can't afford any fancy singing. But you know Jesus got a lot of poor people out doing his work. me and Jesus got our own thing going. Me and Jesus got it all worked out. Yeah, me and Jesus got our own thing going. And we don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. No, we don't need anybody to tell us what it's all about. All right, that leads us to our benediction to send you on your way for the week. May the good Lord bless and keep you, whether near or far away. May you find that long-awaited golden day today. May your troubles all be small ones, and your fortune 10 times 10. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. May you walk with sunlight shining and a bluebird in every tree. May there be a silver lining back of every cloud you see. Fill your dreams with sweet tomorrows, never mind what might have been. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. May you walk with sunlight shining and a bluebird in every tree. May there be a silver lining back of every cloud you see. Fill your dreams with sweet tomorrows, never mind what might have been. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for those who are watching later. Please feel free to share, as always, to anyone you think might enjoy this. We will be back again next week with more Tom T. Hall. I don't know if it'll fill another show. I don't think so. But it'll be probably at least half of the show next week. So have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock, which is a Sunday. No, Sunday's not the 4th. Sunday's the 3rd. Okay. Either way, we'll see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening and have a great week. Good night.